You reported, I believe it was you, that his ask right now is $4 million and that he wants to play the point. What can you tell us about PJ Haggerty? What can you tell us about maybe what the marketplace looks like right now for a player like him, and any other insight that you have into what's happening there with PJ Haggerty in Memphis?
So the initial thought was $5 million for PJ Haggerty. His dad is repping him. And calling around. And the initial ask was $5 million. And I get it. You know, he's thinking, hey, my kid's an All-American. JT Toppin just got $4 million. Why can't my son get more? And he's not wrong in some respects. Haggerty saved Penny Hardaway's job, right? And Memphis can't pay. From what I'm told, they do not have the money, believe it or not, which is shocking to me. With all that FedEx money, they don't have the money to pay PJ Haggerty that type of money. So dad goes around and he's calling around and talking to these schools, and he's saying, you know, we want at least 4. The starting point is 4. He thinks it's still going to go up from there. And he wants to make sure his son plays point guard the majority of the time. Now, PJ Haggerty is not really a point. He's a scorer. We know that. He can play some point. But basically, a lot of these bigger schools are saying there's no way. We're not paying $4 million. Whether it's St. John's, whether it's Baylor, whether it's Indiana, whether it's Kansas, whether it's Florida. I've told all of them are out at that asking price. All of them are out. And again, I think part of it is the money. Part of it is also the demand to play the point the majority of the time. I think 70% of the time was what his dad was asking for at this point. Again, let me be clear. PJ Haggerty's, we had him as a second team, I think, All-American this year. We love the kid.
We didn't have him as an All-American at all. And John Martin was very, very upset about that. He was an AP second team All-American.
All right, that's what he was.
He was number 16 on our list of 15 All-Americans. So he's an awesome player.
Whatever the case, he is a bucket getter. That's what he is. But is he worth $4 million? Well, again, they're looking at it as Rob Wright signed for 3. The number out there is 3.5. It's actually 3. So Rob Wright signed for 3. So they're thinking, well, my kid's better than Rob Wright, which he was last year. But again, timing is everything, because a lot of these schools right now don't have the same money they had 3 weeks ago when Rob Wright signed. And BYU was the one who picked Rob Wright. And BYU's got big-time pockets right now. There's only a few schools that have what Kentucky's done at this point. They're done. They're not doling out $4 million for PJ Haggerty. We just went through their perimeter. So how many other schools? Arkansas probably, maybe they could get it, but I'm not sure they can get it after last year's debacle for most of the season. I'm not sure John Calipari could get $12, $15 million like people thought they could to compete financially with Kentucky, with BYU. I think BYU and Kentucky are at a different realm right now than almost anybody else.
Yeah. And $4 million, when you are a guy that has put up huge numbers, albeit playing in the AAC at Tulsa and at Memphis, and you haven't won a postseason game, putting up all those numbers, I think that probably scares some people off too. Like, he is, you know, as funny as it is, I think he would be a perfect fit in a system similar to what UConn wants to run, right? Because the way that UConn, they run all their stuff, right? And they put the ball in their point guard's hands and they say, go make something happen once all that kind of fails. And that was a perfect role for Tristan Newton, who, like PJ Haggerty, struggled a little bit when it came to winning games playing in the AAC while putting up big numbers and doing it. So that's kind of what I think would make a lot of sense for him in terms of where he ended up. It's just $4 million.
The question is now, Rob, where does he go? And I'm not even sure I can answer that right now today, because I don't know a school right now that's going to pay $4 million. Now, maybe if they miss on some other guys, but who is it? Again, BYU, like we just discussed, there's only a few teams. BYU, Kentucky are out. So now you're dealing with a bunch of schools that, frankly, the top end, there's probably another 15 schools that have $10 million or so, somewhere in that $9 to $11 million range. Well, a lot of those already have guards. They've already committed to guards. So they don't have, they might not have more than $1 million left out of their budget. So I just don't know where he ends up going. I think he ends up going, honestly, to a school and a coach who might be desperate, who might be so desperate they raise some extra money here to keep their job. And we saw it a little bit with Coleman Hawkins. It wasn't the same with Tang. Tang wasn't desperate in a sense that his job was on the line last year, but he rolled the dice with some dudes, and it obviously backfired. So I just don't know. It's going to be interesting to see who. I don't think he'll get 4. I think, Donovan Dank got a little over 3 from what I'm told from UCLA. Rob Wright got about 3. I could see PJ Haggerty being in the same conversation, 3-ish, maybe a little bit over.
What can Memphis get to? That's my question. Like you say, they don't have money. Can they get anywhere near that? Because this is another guy where if you can get somewhere near that, then it makes a lot of sense to come back.
Let's say you have 5 total. Are you spending your Penny Hardaway? Are you going to spend 3 on PJ Haggerty if you have 5 total?
If I'm Penny Hardaway, I'm putting 3 of my own into the bucket. Like that.
Coaches don't do that. I find out coaches are the cheapest bastards out there, that they do not take their own money. Some of them should. Because if you look at it, especially a coach that's on the hot seat right now and has to win this year, right? You take a million of your own money in the hopes of winning enough that you can get an extension and get another 20 million on the back end. But most coaches are not going to do that. We know that.
Yeah. I just Googled Penny Hardaway's net worth, and it's over $50 million. So
I thought it'd be more than that. I actually thought it'd be more.
Yeah. Well, this is according to something called Sports Kita. Yeah. So who knows if that's actually accurate. He made $120 million in his career, and that's to say nothing about his deal with Nike. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't think that there should not be a reason why Memphis is only at $5 million. Is kind of the way that I view it. If I'm
where would you
Memphis
like looking at it here? One place that I think could make some sense is like Ole Miss. It's down the road from Memphis, so obviously they followed what he did. They're in the SEC. I think he would like to go, from what I'm told. Again, this is beyond. Obviously, you got the money, you got the position, all that, but also playing in a place where he's relevant all year. After watching last year, nobody paid attention to them after January 1st. Ole Miss, they need a guy like him. I mean, they do. What have they gotten? Corin Johnson, AJ Storr. They don't really have a dude right now. They had a ton of money a year ago. I'm assuming they've got pretty good money. Maybe not, again, at the highest level. But I could see Chris Beard maybe moving on a guy like this.